like we always do about this time.
Boss. What's up? What's up? What's up? How is everybody doing today? It's your boy, Wildcard Mar in the building. Of course, we got Detroit Mail, the man with the Grandmaster plan for IOW Network. And
what up, though?
You are tuned in to another episode of I Often Wonder.
Right. Tuned all the way in.
Yeah, but it's a special episode because it is another Juneteenth episode, dog. The Nicholas is here.
Nicholas is home.
No, it's I don't know. Is it kind of weird for you that like it's now Juneteenth is a national observed holiday for
it's kind
by the
of
government?
That means they're gonna start taxing us and stuff. You know how that go. Once the government get in, they're gonna find a way to get their money.
Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga.
Right. On Juneteenth, all the niggas get extra taxes.
Like, I'm scared, bro. Like,
money for everybody.
like, are you gonna charge me more for being a nigga today?
You know what I'm saying? So my job gave us an extra day, an extra floating holiday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's say, here you niggas go.
It's just I'm just okay. And
it's weird, man. I mean, it's one of those things like this, bro. It's like you talk about getting having stuff observed, for you and everything, but when it happens, it's so weird because
it's so weird.
We so used to like
you've been without it for so long.
We so used to what's next? You know what I'm saying? You're used to that, so you that's why it feels weird. You waiting for the aftermath. Okay.
Yeah,
what's next?
I'm waiting for the other foot to drop.
Right.
I'm waiting for the other foot to drop.
Something up with this.
Something behind it.
You know what I'm saying? Something behind it.
I know Juneteenth has been observed by some people in the African American culture for years. So I'm not gonna make fun of that. I'm just saying, like, how once the government start observing things, it did. Yeah, I just I didn't see too much. I didn't see too much.
They'll start cutting vacation time. Look at you, Juneteenth. What do you want?
What more you
Christmas and Juneteenth? What more you want? You niggas always want
something. The whole month of February.
You niggas always want something.
No. Thank you for tuning in. I Often Wonder. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I Often Wonder at all those social media platforms. So let's get down to the business because we have a lot of material to cover in kind of bringing up the whole story of how has Black America improved since Juneteenth. And we're talking about the original Juneteenth, back in
1865.
1865 to now. Of course, the biggest difference is a national holiday observed by the government.
Yeah, they just moved the change from my body to our minds.
To our minds.
That's all.
But no, Detroit Mail has a couple of clips, and we're going to discuss a couple of things, and we're going to tie it all together into how has Black America, Black culture, specifically, and especially in Black America, how we came from Juneteenth in 1865 to now.
What is the nigger factory? In the United States, it has only been a little over 150 years since the end of the most brutal slavery the world has ever seen. That 150 years represents the life expectancy of an average human plus their grown child. We talk about it as if it's ancient history, and the truth is, slavery, in the gist of time, was just an eye blink away. Tom Burrell, the author of Brainwashed, says, in the United States, blacks have been branded physically and mentally.
I think that's an important statement right there, man. What he said, he said blacks have been branded physically and mentally.
I'm definitely looking at the mental part of that.
You know what I'm saying? And he said 150 years ain't been that long, bro. It's not been that long. Enough for your a grandparent and a full-grown child. That's just 2 generations.
Yeah.
Or 3, technically 3. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I tell people, all the time, I remember my great-grandfather had siblings that was born on a plantation. So it's not that far removed.
My grandmother and grandfather were sharecroppers down in Mississippi.
See?
So they still had to deal with Jim Crow, wasn't slavery.
Right.
But still, you're still talking about a lot of systemic racism that they had to deal with. Right. People got to remember, Jim Crow and segregation was still in the 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
That's 50 something years ago. That's the same age as my parents. You know what I'm saying? So people got to realize we're not far removed from a lot of big parts of historic bigotry and racism in America. We're not far removed from it. We're really not.
Right.
And I know that we still deal with racism and everything like that. I would say there are, what? Go ahead, continue with the video. Because I was about to dig deep. No, I'm about to dig deep. Yeah, go ahead.
From the very beginning, that branding was even perpetuated long after slavery. The intensely torturous enslavement and indoctrination transformed into the powerful, pernicious, all-pervasive, mass media-driven brainwashing that still goes on today.
This particular chart, which summarizes IQ scores that Professor Richard Lynn alluded to in his talk, based on his review, which was published in 1991, whites average about 100. Black Americans average about 85.
Pseudoscientific facts, taught now and in the past.
Thomas Jefferson's words from the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. Jefferson didn't mean any of this. What did Jefferson really mean? He thought slavery was an evil thing, but he also thought that free blacks in a white society was even worse.
These views were not only in the United States, but instead as part of a global system of domination and power relations. And to maintain this power, they created the nigger factory.
I like how he came in. First, he made a few points. He's talking about branding. And you think about the branding then is different than the branding now. But since I think he's gonna go a little further into it, so I'm gonna just deal with what he's talking about now, what he showed there, how they had, the mammy on front of brandings and the big eyes, the big lips.
Hell, you could go to Uncle Ben's rice.
Uncle Ben's rice.
You can go at Jemima, and that's me growing up. That's early 90s.
That's me growing up too.
They just got rid of that.
Yeah, just got
5
rid of
years ago. A couple of years ago.
So you imagine
between 2 to 5 years, yeah.
So you imagine growing up with that as a black child. That's all you see. As far as when you go into stores or you see images in the media. That's all you see. You don't think you can subscribe or you don't think you can achieve anything because all you see is, it's the best I can do. Is this, then they talk about the pseudoscience they put out how, blacks is only at this, whites on this level and blacks on this level. And that was pseudoscience they put out there I'm not talking about just in the media. They taught this in schools. They taught this in colleges. So when you talk about systemic stuff, this is embedded in systems. This is embedded in the minds, not only of black people, but people who are non-black is hearing this information and taking it in.
Everybody's hearing the same information.
So you think about that when you are I say non-black, that include everybody that's not black. So when you take someone that's non-black and they're hearing this information, they may not have a ill will towards you as another human being. As far as races, I don't hate you because of your color of your skin, but I think you are inferior to me because of the information that I'm receiving. That's a whole different thing. That's what I try to tell people about when you talk about I can't say it now. Systemic racism.
Systemic, bro.
I don't know why I'm stuttering. And then you look at Thomas Jefferson. I mean, I think it's interesting because I remember when I was a kid, maybe I think it was middle school when we started learning about the presidents and stuff like that. And, a lot of my white counterparts idolizes the presidents and, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. And as a kid, that's all I had to look at. So, you kind of looked up to them to a certain degree, but because they didn't teach you the other part. I know about what Jefferson said when I was a kid.
I'm glad you go in there because let's just get to that part of the conversation. Let's be honest about it. There's two things of, especially in school, of what they're teaching and what they're not teaching. It just is.
Right.
Yes, they're going to teach you about George Washington, the first president on the dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? Dare to fight the British off and come up with the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. But are you they're not telling you about the part that, George Washington was a slave owner. They're not telling you that part. They're not telling you about the part that, you may have birthed a nation, but you still birthed a nation in racism. That's not what they're not telling you.
Right. They're not telling you that the reason why I remember when you're coming out, you heard the last name Washington, y'all might get associated with a black person, but you don't realize that Washington was a white name coming from George. The reason why a black person has the last name Washington because
that's a bloodline thing.
George is in the slave quarters.
That's what I'm saying. That's a bloodline thing.
It's a bloodline thing. Right. And then the fact that Thomas Jefferson said that free black people is the worst thing that happened to our society.
I have Wallace. That's a Scottish last name.
Right. See what I'm saying?
That's Scottish as hell.
Right. So there it is.
Do you not remember Braveheart? Come on now.
Right. Let's get back into the video.
Yeah.
For them televised fables on cable. I'm a runaway slave watching the North Star. Shackles on my forearm.
One of the reasons why I stopped doing hip hop up until just recently was because when Get Like Me was the #1 song in America, I got a chance to travel internationally. And I got to see the way that America was depicting black men. And for the most part, it was rap videos. And at that time, that's when reality TV shows had just started. And we looked really bad. And I was a real big part of that. And I just couldn't do it no more. No matter how much money people paid me at that time, I just couldn't continue to send black people's images to hell.
I gotta say something to the gangster rappers. I know a lot of y'all support me, y'all text me, y'all show me love, but I got to say something to y'all Negroes. And I ain't talking to all of you, but most of you. 12, 15, 16 albums of gangsterism, selling dope, sexually exploiting black women, going to jail, worshiping European materialism, got our kids strung out on cars. You Negroes need to get your act together. Facts. I'm tired of turning on the damn TV and I see Negroes worshiping chains, worshiping cars. Every rap song, the same shit. Money, women, kill somebody, go to jail, smoke some weed, worship materialism. Every album is the same. It might be a different rapper, different clique, different city, different flow, different beat, but the content is the same.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with the advertising.
That's probably the only time that I'll
agree with Umar. I think the same thing. I'm agree with you. Listen, I'm gonna give you this one, Umar.
I'm gonna give you that one, Umar.
Right, where that school at, nigga?
Because there's a lot of gas that come out that mouth that looks like
man.
a derriere. But that
Right.
one, I'll rock with you on that.
We'll rock you on that one.
We'll
give you that. We'll give you that one, Umar. We'll give you that one. But you think about what David Banner said, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He saw the effect that it had.
Internationally,
I gotta stop doing this. That's big, man. Because that's digging into your pockets.
Well, that's walking away from a lot of money, and I'm glad that we got to that point because that was one of my things, that I wanted to talk about a little later on when we get to the
we'll get back to that. We're gonna circle back to that.
because I'm glad David Brandon did, but you're right, man. That takes
if y'all listen to this, hold y'all spot right there.
Boy, that takes big cojones to do that.
It do, man. It does, man. Because you look at that's a lot of money to walk away from, bro.
Yeah.
He had to. That's just like you said. My song was like number one on the charts.
On the charts, Billboard charts.
Right.
That means money and sponsorship and fame. It's all coming with it.
Right. All right. Get on a little further.
And the marketing aimed directly at teenagers and even kids as young as 9 years old. It's like the old English 40 ounce of music aimed directly at Black and brown people, teaching behavior and worldview, justifying, promoting, and normalizing criminal behavior, which reaffirms the 400-year marketing campaign waged against Black people since the beginning of slavery. And through stereotypes, it continues to separate brown and Black people from the world by glorifying behaviors that can lead them to prison or competitively marginalized. This is the nigga factory.
Public Enemy is one of the most successful hip-hop groups of all time. Chuck is consistently ranked as one of the top MCs and lyricists of all time.
The whole game and trick is that they could get time on their side and get a couple of generations who are really combative about it to get old and pass on and trick the new generations and throw toys at them to hold them off. And one of the biggest crimes is the MTV networks and the Booty and Thug network of BET that's hijacked hip hop and rap music. And their whole games is to extend teenage years to 35. This has been the principle since 1990. Let's turn teenagers from 17 to 35. And when they wake up out of the fog at 36 years old, they feel that, with 3 or 4 kids, they're paralyzed to move left or right. And so they got to go with the flow.
Man.
Damn, Chuck.
Well, dang, Chuck.
Go with the flow.
Here's the thing, though, man. They showed Chuck D, Karis One, X Clan. You can throw PM Dawn in that too. De La Soul, Jungle Brothers. A lot of them groups back there was doing a lot of, and I probably forget some more people. So
there's a lot.
There's a lot of, that list long. I mean, Far Side to a degree.
Hey, that list is long,
right? But anyway, where are those groups at now? There's no groups like that now. It's like everybody is meshed together and it all looks the same. Don't get me wrong. It's a few artists out there I like. I'm not saying that I can't distinguish between the between like I know Kendrick when I hear Kendrick, I know J. Cole when I hear, you know what I'm saying? I know Young Thug when I hear Young Thug. I'm not saying that I can't tell the difference. What I'm saying is if you juxtapose them, side by side, they all look the same. You don't have even Preach, the one who's doing this video, with his group, Arrested Development. You know what I'm saying? Even though you had the positive brothers out there like that, you still had in hip hop, you can say, okay, I can listen to some positive music. I can listen to some Kwame, who was kind of like that kind of soul, funky, a little bit of R&B if you want to type hip hop. I can listen to some Digital Underground, who had the West Coast flavor, a little bit of the dance music mixed in. If I want to listen to some gangster rap, I have variety.
Mm-hmm.
And now it just seems like it's all meshed together. I mean, you do have. I'm sorry, I'm about to say my man. What's his name? Dead President. That's his name.
Yeah. Dead Press.
Yeah, dead press. Thank you. I know it's yeah.
Look, especially because we love music here. I often
Right.
wonder.
Right.
And it's no dig onto the new hip hop. It's just a new form of hip hop, and yes, it keeps hip hop alive. I'm not a big fan of it personally, but look, it's turned into such a marketing tool with hip hop
Yes.
now. That is I hate to say it, but it's lost its essence a tad bit, because you can see that it's business driven. You can see that is driven with a certain ideal of how society should work behind it. A certain agenda. There's an agenda for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so
it's like they see a way to make money. Okay, this was making money, and let's just push that. Let's just push that, and whoever comes into the game push that same thing. It's just making money. But you gotta go ahead. No, go ahead.
And the reason why it's so catchy is because think about what these hip hop artists are making money wise now to what they were 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it's astronomical. So it's I'm telling you, it's literally a hook, and right when you bite on it, is
it. You got you, but you got to start include social media plays a part in this,
big time.
Because now if I'm an artist, I start my own social media account. IG, I'm on Twitter, whatever. We can go down the line all the social media things, and I'm posting all the time. I can develop my own following without the record company. And sometimes I don't even need distribution. I can just release it straight onto the internet.
SoundCloud.
It's so many different.
Yeah, it's so many different other
ways to just release it. I can start my own Patreon.
Yeah,
make money through that and do private concerts. It's just so many different ways to make money. But then if you grab onto that formula sale, throw me some chicks out there shaking some ass. I'll stand behind a nice car, holding some money up like I'm talking to it on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Or throwing money in the air, whatever. And people, oh man, that sells. It all. I mean, I watch my son watch videos all the time, and I walk past the TV. I be like, "They're like the same dude." Oh no, that's not a name. Come on, that's so and so. Oh, that's so and so. And it's just like, come on, man, it's that same thing they marketed to us, and we just need to wake up. All right, let's just get back into preach.
Facts show some things were created by racists centuries ago to redefine Black people, and a lot of it, as they say in marketing, has been sticky. Meanwhile, other things that have purposely been created to redefine Blacks positively don't stick. But why?
One of the greatest propaganda campaigns of all time was the masterful marketing of the myth of Black inferiority to justify slavery within a democracy. Ingenious. Tom Burrell, marketing veteran.
When Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, announcing the self-evident truth that all men are created equal, at that very time of writing that, he owned some 175 slaves. That's how contradictory race relations started.
He didn't think Blacks were very intelligent either. As he put it, quote, "Their existence appears to participate more of sensation than reflection."
This pop culture image of Blacks as lower than, beast or brutes, sluts, unable to think in higher vibrations and intelligence, justified the racial inequalities that people saw, not only in white people though, but also in Blacks and every other race that were brainwashed by the factory, also from Jefferson.
He wanted Blacks deported and separated from whites so that they would be, and I quote, "beyond the reach of mixture," the American Colonization Society. At the inaugural meeting of the society, Henry Clay explained its purpose, quote, "to rid our country of a useless and pernicious, if not dangerous, portion of the population." Some of the most famous early Americans were not just members of the Colonization Society, they were officers. Besides Madison, there were Andrew Jackson, Daniel Webster, Stephen Douglas, William Seward, Francis Scott Key, Winfield Scott, and John Marshall.
These names were high-ranking officials in the United States.
I want to stop there because So the last thing he said, and one of the people he named was Francis Scott Key. You know who Francis Scott Key is, right?
Yeah, he wrote your national anthem, y'all.
Star Spangled Banner. So that argument talking about that last line didn't mean what it said it meant. Yes, it did, because he had that mentality that we were less than. We were, ain't nothing good, only thing good about a nigga is a dead nigga. That's how Lam thought, or at least separated, deported out of here. And the fact that Thomas Jefferson, he wrote "All men are created equal." Well, when I was written in the Constitution, let me say that when I was written in the Constitution, they weren't thinking about us. Because they didn't consider us to be men. They didn't consider us to be human. We'd be low. So when he said all men or mankind was created equal, that wasn't referring to us. Those laws was written and it wasn't referring to us. I just think it's interesting how, since we're talking about Juneteenth, the last of the slaves down in Galveston, Texas, being notified that they were free
years later.
Years later after
that went through.
Right. That they were free. It's not that Texas didn't know that. So that's the thing you got to understand too. They knew it.
They just didn't tell them.
They just ignored it. You know what I'm saying? So they knew that the slaves were free. They just ignored it. And they had to send down the army to let them know and go through each town by town, to let them know, hey, they free. And then they've been enslaved so long, some of them didn't know what to do. They stayed on the plantation.
Mm-hmm. They knew what they knew.
You know what I'm saying? That's like, I don't know what to do. I've been enslaved so long. I don't know what to do. They weren't allowed to get educated. So you didn't have any education. Go ahead.
It's crazy you say that they stayed because they knew what they knew. It's the same thing when you look at it at a lot of people that say, hey, go back to Africa. And you're like, why would I go back to Africa? I don't know nothing about Africa.
Right.
I know what I know. I know America. I was born here. I'm an American.
Yeah, and there's the same idea or the same mentality that people that stay in the hood.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to leave the hood. That's all I know.
That's all I know.
That's all I know. And don't get me wrong, I lived in the hood, so I'm not talking bad about the hood. But one thing I say, living in low income neighborhoods is for people who can't afford to live there. So you get there, you make a living, you move your way up, and then you make a place for somebody else that needs it. All right, I'm moving up out of here. Now somebody else that might need it can stay here. It's not for you to. It's not for you to be there
to stay there forever.
Forever, right? It's for you to. Hey, man, it's all I can afford for right now. It's it's inexpensive living. I'm gonna live here, get myself together, and I move out. Now, I'm not saying that you have to necessarily go and try to ride on the coattails of white folks. I'm not saying that either. You know what I'm saying? Because then that's more of what a couple points was made in this video. That we have this inferiority complex that's been, not only because it's been shown us this so much in media through the way we've been treated. Because you think about it go back to what I was saying earlier about my great grandparents having siblings that was born on plantations. They took that mentality and passed it down to my grandparents. They took that down and passed it down to my mama, and took that down and passed it down to me. Because that's what they were taught. So now we all have this, if it's white, it's right kind of mentality. So when we stand in the hood and they building up in the suburbs, let's go out there because that's where it's better at. But there was neighborhoods in Detroit that were nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had Rosedale Park, Palmer Woods, they had the University District. So they had places where you can still have a nice house and have a good place to live and all that stuff. You didn't have to go to the suburbs. But we thought either it was subconsciously or even consciously that white is right, you ran to the suburbs. You know. Anyway, we'll get back to the video.
Brother went to John Marshall High School. There's likely street names with these names on it in your town. From scientists to presidents to lay people of all races, the true humanity of Black people were consistently challenged. Subhuman, a fraction of a human being.
But Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, didn't he believe in racial equality? No. During the Lincoln-Douglas debates, he said this: "I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of making voters or jurors out of Negroes. There is a physical difference between the white and Black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality."
This was going on worldwide. Europeans had to deal with it since the first slave in Portugal, and in America, since the first slaves in Jamestown, 1619. How can they justify this huge divide between the freedom-loving rhetoric that they espoused, mixed with this total and thorough addiction to free slave labor, knowing that it would make them the most powerful forces in the world? So the factory began. As said before, scientists, biologists, psychologists, marketing maestros started a brand. They perfected that brand over 400 years to the present day, where it has been generationally normalized to where even most Black and brown people would have it no other way. They know no other way. They've become conditioned to accept the image that was started by racists, to where they look at it as our thing, our culture, our niggas. Of course, there's slews of people who are activists, woke, culturally proud, but the factory keeps on producing these same images at such a consistent rate that the woke among us, if they don't have the same consistency nor machinery, they can't make consciousness permanent or stick. The law of Sir Isaac Newton states that for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. That would be where we need to be. So far, it's not the case. All of the countermeasures, noble and admirable, at this point are no match for the 400-year marketing campaign of the nigga. So even occasional afros and progressive breakthroughs on TV, movies, and songs are unfortunately not enough to the constant exposure of twisted images, violent and dehumanizing themes from the factory. So please join me for the next episode as I go a lot deeper and further expose this factory, why I chose to use the word nigga, the deliberate and the indeliberate players in the factory, and just how high up this factory goes. I think it could get heated, and hit dogs may holler.
I like that. That's an appropriate way to end it. A hit dog may holler, because he may call out your name when he get ready to name some of these things. And, you know, looking at that video, I just let the rest of it play because there wasn't that much left, but looking at that video, man, it should awaken some eyes. You know, it should awaken, at least stir something up in you when you see that if you're not Black, if you don't know nothing about this, you should at least be shocked and surprised, unless you're racist. Now, if you're racist, you know, you don't care. But if you're not a racist person that's non-Black and you see something like this, you should be shocked and surprised. You know, if you're Black, you should be stirred up to want to change some things. You know, I understand, and don't get me wrong, because, you know, a lot of times, sometimes it looks like, are we getting down on certain groups, members of our community, and I'm not, because to me, if I had a rap talent, I'd be rapping. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes to really to make a living. But at the same time, you still have that responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even I think about the same thing with us doing up this podcast. You know, sometimes I like to laugh and joke and have fun and stuff, but I still like to try to be responsible and do videos like this, or, you know, or at least say, okay, let me tone it down some so people can see, you know, that, all right, you're just joking, but we still have business to take care of. We still can speak, you know, with some form of intellect, you know, some form of articulation. And we, you know, we're not all about laughing and joking and hee-hawing. We still have depth to us, you know. And since we talk about that, I want to show another video, and this kind of more recent video, so you can see the past until now.
Even though we 13% of the population in the U.S., we 100% of the cool. We 100% We decide. Have you seen TikTok without us?
Yeah,
It's the craziest shit you've ever seen. Right Black creators started boycotting on TikTok. Motherfuckers don't even know what to do.
Because they were stealing.
Because all they did was steal niggas shit. So
all you watch the TV is all the commercials that get all the fame is commercial with an Asian. What, you crazy girl? All that shit. I'm like, and see the shit.
Once again, I see a lot of people in the comment section going, 13%, black people gotta be more than 13%, but that's because you niggas don't travel. Every major city in the US is hot because we're there, but we're not there in the flyover states. Most of the states in the US don't really have black people in them.
But Ryan, there's a lot of uninhabited land.
It's inhabited, bro. It's inhabited, bro.
But wait, hold on. We gonna make y'all gonna all make y'all point. What you say, Marcus?
It's a lot of uninhabited land.
Where?
You can't, everywhere.
Where?
Everywhere. You talking about? We talking about Wyoming? You know, like random states.
Do they vote?
Huh?
Did you ever watch the presidential election and see a state just blank?
But that ain't.
Or is there people living in all? Or are those people living in all these states?
It's not blank, but just because it's a certain amount of people don't mean it's not an uninhabited land in that state though.
But guess what?
What point are you making, bro?
Yeah,
if a state has, let's say a state like the city of Los Angeles has millions of people. Let's say a whole state has 400,000 people, right? That's still 400,000 people, no niggas. So that's what I'm. Them numbers add up, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Them numbers add up.
You know what? Every state, like Wyoming,
that's what I'm telling you. Most cultures are white adjacent, and they consider themselves white, bro.
Say that again.
Most cultures, a lot of.
Wait a second. See, now you're talking about the inflation of white numbers. I'm literally talking about black people being 13%.
We have to make sure his points are out there. I don't understand what he mean when he say. What did you say? Most people are what?
White adjacent.
What do you mean?
They consider themselves white. Like when they fill out these forms, like a lot of Mexican, Spanish, whatever.
That has nothing to do with the black population. I'm literally talking about the black population, my nigga.
I'm trying to
literally
figure out, like, so when they fill out the shit, they fill out white. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's people who do that.
I totally understand that. I understand. I live in a country where most of the people here want to be white so they can get the privilege. They want to kiss they white people that they know ass.
All right, so I wanted to show that video for a couple of reasons. One, to show how ignorant some people can be. What the hell does uninhabited land have to do with the argument? It's literally like, and you know what? I'm not gonna get down on Marcus, but this is the issue here. I have. That's internet education. That's someone that's been listening to the internet and then not following that information up. Say, let me research that a little more. And hearing somebody on a podcast, on a YouTube video, repeating stuff, spousing out a bunch of stuff. Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna use that.
I call it parakeet education.
Yeah, right. Parakeet education. Because my thing is like, Ryan said, and it's a little more to that video, but I just wanted to show that one part. Ryan said blacks only make up 13% of this country.
But 100%.
But 100% of the culture. Well, he said the cool, but that's what he meant.
Yeah,
he breaks it down a little more. And you watch the video, the culture and all that stuff.
Fashion, talking music, about, lifestyle, everything.
Everything. 100% of everything they makes up this country, but we want to make up 13%. That's it. So Marcus says, but there's a whole lot of uninhabited lands. But if it's uninhabited, that means no one's there. So what does that got to do with anything? If it's uninhabited, no one's there. You know what I'm saying? So you can't count them as black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian. You can't count them as nothing. It's uninhabited. You know what I'm saying?
It's vacant.
It's vacant.
Nada.
So then he goes and him and Precise says, some people are white adjacent. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I mean, I knew what he meant, but what's that got to do with the argument? I mean, so you saying the people that's claiming to be white isn't
hey, my guy, just say biracial, bro.
But I don't even think that's what he meant. He meant like, so he's saying basically like, some Hispanic people, when they put down stuff, they say white. Yeah, some Asian census. People, when they put down stuff, they say white. Right. So those are just, like Ryan said, white numbers being inflated. That had nothing to do with the 13% of black people. And then he started talking about, right? And they're adjacent stuff. Yeah, they're white adjacent. The hell? What? That's the word of the day. You just started trying to use it into a sentence now. I learned this word. I'm gonna try to put this in every sentence. Hey man, white adjacent.
Hey, my guy was in his thesaurus before that show. He was like,
hold on.
Adjacent.
Get my Stephen A. Smith on.
I got one. Oh, I'm
gonna kill him with this one.
Right. I'm gonna kill him with adjacent, boy. They ain't gonna have no idea what to do.
They ain't gonna have no comeback on this one. That has nothing to do with the argument. And plus, so it's a little more, I'm gonna talk about it instead of showing the video. But so as the video goes on, Ryan goes into, well, if you look at most major states, very few of them have more than one major city. And then if you go to Georgia, you have Atlanta's the major city, mostly black, maybe Macon, Augusta, it's probably a couple, Savannah, may have a lot of black people there. But for the most part, most black people in that major city, if you go outside that major city, it's mostly white. On the outskirts, it's mostly white or other, you know what I'm saying? But whites make up the majority of people in this country. That's just how it is, And so they go and arguing over all this and missing the whole point he's trying to make from the get-go. So, I'm bringing that up to say there's another problem with us. We're so focused on the small issue, and we argue over the smallest issues and missing out on the bigger point. The bigger point is that we're a small amount of people in this country. In the world, we are the majority. But in this country, we are minorities. We look at such a small amount in this country, but we're getting took from the most. You know what I'm saying? If you look at, I remember breakdancing. It was popular. Only way you seen that was you was out on the streets watching people breakdance. Then all of a sudden, commercials start showing people breakdancing. Then they start putting in the music awards and stuff. People breakdancing. I remember rapping. They talked about rapping. Man, rapping. Nobody want to hear that. The media and all that stuff. Mainstream talked about rapping. Then all of a sudden, they rapping on the Pepsi commercial. They rapping on the McDonald's commercial. They rapping on the Burger King commercial. You know what I'm saying? They come in and then they know what they do is, okay, let's take Aquafina. Let's take Izzy Azalea. Let's take someone that look like them and push them up and let them be the face of the head of rap. Taking our culture. Fashion. We start so many fashion trends. But then, they're taking the fashion trend. Food. I mean, you can go down a line of stuff that we start. It wasn't for us. They wouldn't be stopping nowhere because we invented the traffic light. I mean, we used to go down. Thomas Jefferson was not an inventor. He just beat the people to the patent office. He took ideas from other people. Some were black people that invented stuff. And took it to the patent on file patents.
Oh, the biggest thief. Since y'all getting amped up about this Elvis movie, the biggest thief.
Yeah, Elvis. And then he turns around and say, all niggas can do is buy my records and shine my shoes.
Hey, I had to put Elvis out there. I've never been a fan of Elvis. Never.
And it's not a complaint. It's just
no, you're not complaining. It's just there's a lot of information that's not being shared. You know how we started the show? You said they're showing in school how to, pretty much show on different levels that different races are on. And so they're sharing that information with everybody. So what they're not doing now is sharing that same information with everybody like they were before about how when, races belong on certain levels. So they're not showing the truth about, society. That's point blank period.
Point blank period.
So let's round it all together in our Juneteenth episode of whereas we are as a culture, as Black people, from 1865 till now.
Right.
I think if you me personally, and I think we joked about it earlier about being enslaved mentally, taking the chains from our wrists to our minds.
Right.
We joke a lot, but sometimes there's some more times than not. There's some truth to our joking.
Right.
And I've always referenced How to Make a Slave Willie Lynch thing, and it's always been a marketing tool, and marketing has been around since the beginning of civilization here in America.
Right.
And it's our culture is easily influenced market wise. We spend the most dollars. We pretty much keep the economy going. Let's be honest. And that's during. I'm talking about that's during when we got money, during recession, during inflation, during anything. We spend the most for some reason.
Right.
I can't explain it, but we do.
We find ways to find money to get stuff we want.
And sometimes what we want, keyword won't.
Yeah, what we want. That's why I say what we want. That's why I said it like that. What we want. Still taking something. I'll give you a good example. And this is a rhetorical question, but how many people got their stimulus check and invested it? I seen niggas with rims, niggas with chains, you know what I'm saying? And niggas buying all this other stuff. How many got their stimulus money and invested it?
Not too many.
I mean, even the ones that ran the scam, they got caught because they was flexing in a brand new Bentley and all this stuff. Where was the investment? Because if you was investing, you probably wouldn't have got caught because you wouldn't been on Instagram flexing. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't gonna flex. Oh, I just bought this house. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be working on it. You ain't gonna be, whatever you invest in, you ain't really flex on that. It's just because you steady working that investment versus, I got this Bentley, I bought this Benz, I bought this. Yeah. And you say what now? You don't even working at McDonald's, nigga? You know what I'm saying? Come on. But speaking of that, since we brought that up,
yeah, they're good at marketing.
Yeah, let's talk about Young Thugs. We talk about people snitching on themselves on the internet. Man, because I want to be careful because I don't want to crap on a brother because he's still a brother. But at the same time, it's like, come on, man. You grew up in the hood. You making music that got you out of the hood. Leave the hood stuff in the hood. I don't even want to say that because you know what? I don't even want to say that because I make it seem like all people in the hood is bad. But leave all that other stuff alone. You made it out. You're successful. You traveling.
Now it's time. Now it's time to turn around and pull.
There you go. But
now it's time. See, and this is what bothers me about these new age rappers that are falling into the hype because a majority of these connoisseurs of this music are white kids.
Yeah, a lot more white kids.
And so that it plays into a part when people want to dive into the culture, but they don't understand, but they're not trying to actually understand the culture. So that touches into that, but it's like when you're trying to sell this certain image to where the money's coming from,
right?
because that's how they getting crazy rich right now in this day of hip hop. Because they're hitting the majority, you know, of America, which is the white kids.
Yeah, they're hitting all kinds of demographics.
They're hitting all kinds of demographics, but specifically, I mean, when early '90s, it wasn't a lot of white kids getting into hip hop. You know, how dare you listen to this? You know, they wanted to ban this shit. You know, and to a certain extent, I didn't really get in.
PMRC, Tipper Gore, and all that.
Yeah, but like to a certain extent, I was kind of you know, there was a point when I was growing up where I was growing up in the church, so like, you know, I was listening to a lot of gospel music more than rap. You know, I would barely even listen to it on the radio because that's what mom and pops was playing. They played that old school joints, but you know, I literally had to start getting into hip hop on my own, like in high school. So it wasn't like, you know, all black kids are just, you know, we all NWA straight out of Compton. No,
right.
You know, I had to graduate to that, you know, on my own, but because I wasn't exposed to it. But my main point is that these new age rappers who are part of the machine of selling that idea of what black people are to the masses in the different demographics, they fall into that shit, and so they feel like they have to maintain of what they're rapping about, and they have to carry on that persona on and off the camera, you know, and it turns into some kind of toxic lifestyle, and then, you know, and now you're dealing with, you know, being incarcerated for long periods of time, or possibly like how many rappers have been getting shot and killed over some craziness.
Oh, but that I was gonna get into that. I was gonna get into that part too. But my thing too is that, like I was saying before, snitching on yourself in your rap lyrics. Young Thug saying, what do you say? I didn't. I'm gonna have to paraphrase. I didn't shoot him, but I had something to do with it. You know what that makes you sound like? You the head of the organization. The exact thing they trying to pin on you.
Rico.
You know what I'm saying? That's the exact same thing they trying to pin. Oh yeah, you're right. Think about people who head the organization, like the mob and all that stuff. They just give the order, right? They give the order. So now you saying, "Oh, I'm not a gang," but you just right here said, or I was listening to this dude on his podcast, a police officer. He said some of these rappers are not only filming themselves, you know, doing it. They telling what they did with the gun. Y'all write the gun, threw it in the sewer. They saying in their records, bruh. And then the police go, look, it's right there. The gun they just got to talking about. Or, you know, somebody just say, I gotta look at the guy what he wore. This nigga got the same thing on in the video. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. You gotta be smarter than that, bruh. It's like this social media era, man. They put everything on social media, and they incriminating themselves. Now, this man may be locked up for a long time because he put all this stuff in his music. That's silly, crazy, bro. Man. That's silly. You guys to do better than that. I want to pose it. I was thinking about something. I want to pose this question to you. Do you think we better off being segregated than integrated? Let me give you an example before you answer that. If you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, when black folks went to Tulsa, Oklahoma is segregated. So, but what they do, they started Black Wall Street because that dollar stayed in the community because they had to find a way to make it outside of being integrated. So the dollar stayed in the community. You had a lot of wealthy black people, a lot of doctors, a lot of professional black people in that Greenwood community, and they were wealthy,
doing well
because the dollar stayed with them. They money stayed in they had to spend money amongst themselves. Now, here comes this big push to be integrated, and now we take that money from our neighborhood We going to Walmart. We going to JCPenney's. We going to Macy's and all places like that, spending our money, and mom and pops can't survive.
Yeah.
You know, because mom and pops may be a little bit more,
but it's gonna be better quality.
But it's gonna be better quality, and plus you may sacrifice 50 cents, $1 more to keep it in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll let you get your answer. I get mine. So what do you think?
Man, because I always pondered about this. Because obviously, because how I live now, I'm open to, obviously I don't discriminate. I've never been a race or a person to not like somebody because of their race. I mean, I know you're similar to, you look at our friends list.
Right.
I literally got people from all shades,
all
ethnicities,
right,
all sexual orientations. So, we're very open individuals. But when it comes down to if it keeps the community of my people thriving, if segregation was to make that happen, I wouldn't be against it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so awkward to answer this question because obviously in 2022 we don't think like that.
We don't think like that, but
look, I'm big about our people winning.
Right.
And that's what sucks about this new age rap group is because they are winning financially.
Mm-hmm.
They are winning.
But they the only ones. They're winning. We're not winning.
They are. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're winning. We're not winning as a whole.
Well, I say this. If the new age rappers are winning and they're sharing with our community to help make sure that our community thrives, then that's something different. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're hiring people from the neighborhood, giving them jobs, and and this is probably the side of LeBron that I've always respected. You know how I feel about LeBron,
right.
about the basketball side. But he got his neighborhood friends, the friends he grew up with, are the same circle of guys that are rocking with him doing business deals and stuff like that.
Right.
If we're in a situation like that, we're turning around, putting a hand out, and taking our community with us financially to win together. That's what I would love to see. I would love to see that we're doing that. But if that means that we have to be segregated to do it, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It would obviously be weird to do it. But I think integration happens because you really think about it. At some point, when Tulsa was segregated, probably the other side of Tulsa was looking like, oh, them niggas making money over there.
That's basically what happened, though.
They
I mean, the incident with the lady just helped ignite was already a kindling fire.
And
because they would look over the railroad tracks and see all these black folks over there doing well and striving, and they didn't like that.
Well, and obviously we weren't there, but some time ago. But I'm willing to bet that the delegation on the white side was like, hey, how about we do a partnership? And they, the brothers was like, no, y'all didn't want to deal with us now, but y'all see us winning. So why would we mess with y'all now?
Right.
So, and I'm assuming that probably that's how the situation probably went down. If I'm willing to bet, and I ain't a bet man, but I'm willing to bet that's how the shit went down.
And then
they said, "Oh, so you're not gonna work with us? If we can't eat, then y'all ain't eating." And then next thing you know, we got a situation on our hands. So, I'm willing to bet that's how the situation probably went down. But I mean, my thing is, and I think that's the other side of that question that I want to answer is like, even if you do segregate it, at some point there's going to be some type of jealousy from one side or another. If one is thriving more than the other, there's going to be some type of form of jealousy.
But here's the thing. Well, there's a couple of factors. I would say this. Well, I'm gonna answer that. Then I'm gonna give you my answer to the question.
Yeah.
Part of it is they have modern day segregation now. That's all white places that black folks can't go. I mean, I remember in the upper part of Michigan, it's places that black folks didn't go. Just didn't go there because
Of the history
of what would happen to them if they go.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It was mostly white. It was probably 99% white, especially in the UP. So just didn't go that way. You know, there's places in certain, like I remember when blacks couldn't go to Livonia.
Certain parts of Michigan.
Some parts of Michigan, and that's not even the UP.
Mm-hmm.
That's right outside of Detroit. You know, I remember you get to Grosse Pointe on the other side of Alta Road on Detroit's east side. You pass through Detroit on the east side. You pass Alta Road. You're in Grosse Pointe. As soon as you get over there, hey, where you going, nigga?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? That was happening. But the problem is we don't have the power to enforce our segregation. They do.
Mm.
That's the problem. We don't have that power to enforce it. So you have to get some kind of leverage. So you don't have the power in numbers, but you always a way to get leverage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you use that leverage to enforce your issue. So my thing is, I don't believe that we should segregate in a way that they segregated in the past. It should be a modern day segregation. You know, what I mean by that is, you know, you buy black, you may have to sacrifice a couple extra dollars to stay black with your purchases, stay black with the things that you do, you know, stay black with the things that you associate with. You know, you don't totally that's what I want to use. Push nobody out. You know what I'm saying? Because like say like a brother, I talk about this all the time with Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte had a white wife, but it wasn't for Harry Belafonte who bailed some of those civil rights leaders out, some will still be in jail. So you can't push Harry Belafonte out because he has a white wife. You know, you hear the argument, well, he got a white wife. That's one less sister that's not gonna have a black man. But if you look at the numbers, I look the numbers up. It's the highest numbers of interracial marriages happen in white,
male,
Hispanic, white groups in period. You know, most white people are in interrelation marriages than blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Hispanics is next. You know, the Asians are last.
Mm-hmm.
So the number's not that high that black people are in interracial marriage or relationships in general. So we always say, oh, it's one less. It's plenty of blacks to go around. So if this guy decides he loves this person because that person is still part of it. It is what it is. You know, only problem I always have, and I say this, if you only go after that particular race because you say your race ain't no good, I have a problem with that. So I had an issue with a couple of friends who had bad relationships. All black women are like that. You know, ain't no good black women.
Generalizations,
and I'm going to get me a white woman because a white woman gonna submit. Not all white women gonna submit. You know what I'm saying? That's a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
like take that stereotype and throw that shit in the trash, bro.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I've seen some white women that don't submit. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, so you can't use those generalization. But I think that's the way you have to do it. You got to do it in a way where you are consciously thinking black, whatever you do, you know. And then once you have enough leverage where you have the economic power, and you use the economic power, and you taking that economics that you was putting in the mainstream and putting it back into your community, they'll come see you. Now you have a leverage. The reason why you don't have a leverage is because you acquiesce to what they want you to do. You know, well, I gotta go over here and get a record deal. I gotta go over here and get a clothing deal. I gotta go over here and get a shoe deal. You know what I'm saying? You acquiescing to them instead of making them come to you. You know, even whatever you feel about voting, you know, but even with your voting blocks, you know, wouldn't necessarily have to vote Democrat every time. Because if you ain't seen nothing out of Joe Biden and learned nothing from him, he just as bad as Trump was. He just as bad as Bush was. He just as bad as any Republican you want to name. Biden ain't hitting on shit. Period. You say what you want.
Damn gas, almost damn $5 around there, motherfucker. We about to have a problem, Joe. Me and Sleepy Joe need to talk.
Sleepy Joe been asleep too long.
No, he can't even ride a bike with his little raggedy ass.
You know what I'm saying? He the one who was a part of the crime bill. We can go down the line with Joe Biden. So Joe Biden ain't hitting on nothing. So you can't just automatically vote Democrat because you think, you know, because you think, oh, that's what we normally do. You know, make them come get your vote. Make them work for your vote. That's why Joe Biden can make a statement, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's why he can make a statement like that.
Bro, I heard
because
that shit. I said, this motherfucker, no, he didn't, dog.
Because what we do, I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden.
We ain't gonna vote for him.
We ain't gonna vote for him. You know what I'm saying? Because we are programmed. I'm just saying, we are programmed to vote a certain way. We are programmed to do things a certain. We are programmed, like the nigga factory said. We are programmed, you know, to do certain things because of how media presents certain things. We think we're inferior. We think white is right.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So from 1865 to now, what's the difference? What state of difference are we in as black folks?
We made strides, but we still have not overcame.
Okay.
Because we're more segregated amongst ourselves.
Big time.
We still enslaved, you know.
Instead of physically,
mentally enslaved. We still think we inferior, even though it may not be a conscious thing you think of. Subconsciously, you make choices, you make inferior choices.
So what's the difference from 1865 to now?
It's nothing, man. It's really not much of a difference. Because until we all can come together, I mean, it's not gonna you can't get 100% anything. But when you get the majority of us to come together and move as one unit, one block of group of people, one community, and do things, we're gonna still be in the same thing. We're gonna still be doing podcasts like this, talk about nothing changed.
Well, because I think what it is, and in that piece that you showed, the biggest thing that what it is that what's being shown as the imagery of black folk is at such an alarming rate.
Yeah,
it's hard to be matched by those who actually know the truth.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's absolutely. It's just you can't. People who know the truth can't put out as much information as the machine. They just can't.
And you know, it's interesting. You know, I can say woke, but because that word has been hijacked.
Nah. I ain't saying woke. That know the
I'm
truth.
just saying. I'm saying, but that term has been hijacked.
Nah, I hate that. I hate woke
because
that's just
it used to be a term that means that we are aware of what's going on. Now they've taken that and hijacked it. Now that's a bad word now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't even use it now. I was like, oh, I ain't using that.
Yeah.
But it's another thing that they take and hijack from us, man. That started with us using that term.
Mm-hmm. Wake up, brother.
Wake up, brother. They've been saying that. I mean, they've been saying it for years. They just actually started.
No, I'm talking about like in the 70s and 80s. They've been
saying. That's what I'm saying. They've been saying it for years. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it ain't.
Wake up, brother.
Right, wake up, brother.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
You ain't woke. Wake up. You ain't even paying attention to what's going on. Wake up, brother.
Wake up, brother.
Yeah, they've been saying that for
years.
My pops been saying that to me when I was littler.
When I was littler. Like Riley saying, you remember when we was littler?
When I was littler. So I think that wraps it up. I mean, it's hate to say it because from 1865 to 2022. I mean, I know Juneteenth is now a recognized holiday, but
And
ain't too much
please,
different.
whatever y'all do, Georgia, get Herschel Walker out of there. He ain't nothing. He is nothing but a shield for the white folks. Get Herschel Walker dumbass out of there. That's flat out. He ain't nothing.
Hey, bro, stop.
COINTELPRO. That's all
Sir.
he is. COINTELPRO. That's all he is. He is an agent, a Trojan horse.
All right, y'all.
That thick neck, dumb nigga out of there.
Y'all hop in the comments, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think about today's episode and the subject we talked about. And if there's anything in the future that we should probably another angle that we probably didn't see.
Yeah, if something we forgot, bring it.
Yeah, bring it to the table. Bring it to the table. You know, we never shy because we always.
And if you're in Georgia, don't vote for Herschel.
But please go like, share, follow. Share the word of what we got going on, what kind of content we going on. So go to I Often Wonder at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and follow us on all of those media platforms. And you can always catch the audio podcast on Spotify as well, and other areas that you get your podcast needs. I mean, we everywhere. We everywhere. Yeah, we everywhere. But look, until next time, it's your boy Wildcard Barn, Detroit Mel, the man with the Grandmaster Plan for ILW Network. Peace and love, y'all. Be good.
Peace and soul, as Don Cornelius would say.
Peace and soul.